Recovery Sort Of is a podcast where we discuss recovery topics from the perspective of people living in long-term recovery. This podcast does not intend to represent the views of any particular group, organization, or fellowship. The attitudes expressed are solely the opinion of its contributors. Be advised, there may be strong language or topics of an adult nature.
Sort of. I'm Jason, a guy who's kind of, I guess it's a chronic illness. I don't know. I feel petty complaining about it today, but here I am.
And I'm Billy. I'm a person in long-term recovery.
I'm an addict named Drew. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and when I had 4 years clean, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, relapsing and remitting multiple sclerosis specifically.
What does that mean?
Good question. Google it.
Oh.
No, so progressive.
Thanks for coming on, Drew.
Yeah, right. Just Google it.
Progressive MS and relapsing and remitting MS are the two most common diagnoses. And with progressive, it goes downhill super quick. And with relapsing or remitting, it gets bad and then it goes into remission and gets a little better. You still deal with some of the problems that you accumulated, and then it'll relapse and take a downward spiral again. You do the up and down thing.
So MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What is that?
So,
anybody who doesn't know.
So, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. Your body attacks itself. So, it's based on your nerves and the myelin coating around your nerves. So, imagine an extension cord. The rubber coating around the actual wires is the myelin coating on your nerves. So when that gets broken or open, the wires are exposed, and after time of using the extension cord, it bends, and then it gets a short in it. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it causes a fire. Sometimes you can go the rest of your life without having any problems from that extension cord, and it's pretty much like that, but in your nerves, in my central nervous system, right? So like my spine and your central nervous system, as far as I understand it, and I'm not a college educated guy, but it pretty much controls every part of your body, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
And so you get lesions in your nerves all along your spine and your brain. And what a lesion is that spot in the extension cord that, is exposed and starts misfiring or whatnot. So you get lesions in your brain and all on your spinal cord, and it's you're born with MS. It is hereditary, but not everybody that's born with it affects. So it's brought on by stress and trauma. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with an ACE score, but they give you like a point for every different thing you've been through.
We did an episode on
that. Yeah. So apparently I got the high score on the ACE score.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I won.
That's awesome.
And I also have PTSD from stuff that I went through as a child, and that is a stress thing. And at the time I was diagnosed, I had 4 years clean, and I was in an unhealthy relationship, and she was pregnant. We were having a kid, my youngest son Mason, and neither of us were happy. We just weren't compatible, and we were trying to make it work for the kid, which wasn't the best. And I started having vision problems and started feeling weak, like come the end of the work week, because I was plumbing. I was doing a manual, labor-intensive job. Come Friday, I'd feel off and my vision would get messed up, but then I would rest all weekend and I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work Monday. Because like I was raised with, a man goes to work, earns a paycheck, sweats a little bit, takes care of his family, and that's what I was trying to do. And one weekend I didn't relax though, and about a month in, the lights messed me up, and I ended up going to the hospital because I started getting real dizzy and stuff, and they gave me steroids, which like made me feel better instantly, pretty much. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like that was a Sunday. I was like, I'm going to work tomorrow. Everything's fine. They were like, no, you got to stay for a week and get steroids in an IV. And then for 6 months after that, I was good. They put me on some free medicine. And about the 6-month mark, stuff started going downhill. Like I started getting dizzy. I couldn't like piece together my thoughts, like to make it into words. Like I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't get, like there was like a misfire. It wasn't getting from point A to point B. You know what I mean? And like I started slurring my words real bad, like and not being able to keep my balance. So like I appeared drunk all the time. So they switched me medications, and like stuff got better for a little bit, and then it went way down, and like I couldn't really walk. I had to like relearn how to walk, and mind you, at this time I had an infant. You know what I mean? So like if I would have had to have dealt with that by myself or without any support, I would have surely relapsed. But I was so ingrained in the 12-step fellowship I go to, you know, sponsee family, friends, had a network, you know what I mean? A support network. And they got me through that, man. And I took some financial advice from my sponsor at some point and saved up 6 months worth of bill money. And when I had to not work after the unemployment and everything ran out, that 6 months of saved money, you know, helped me. And then I was still not well enough to work after that. And my sponsorship family like carried me through that. And then I started, instead of doing labor intensive jobs, I figured I could do like a desk job or like, you know, something like that. So I started working for a nonprofit and did good for a while, but then like I got more lesions in my brain. And I started I have really bad memory issues now. Like short-term memory is horrible. And I get overstimulated and overwhelmed real easy. So like a simple task like that I've done 50 times on the computer on like a Google form or whatever, I know how to do it, but like I can't. I get overstimulated and just like, and like the anger just like skyrockets. You know what I mean? Like I've always had anger issues and been an asshole, but like the MS just amplifies that.
So Drew, you're typically a pretty funny guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make this episode entertaining, and now I'm all sad.
Dude. So like I should have been dead a long time ago, and if MS is what I got to deal with, I'll deal with it, man. Like like I said, I had 4 years clean when I got diagnosed, man, and like nobody thought I was gonna make it, dude. Like I was bottom of the barrel. I was, you know what I mean, a junkie. Like a lot of people say, oh well, you didn't have it that bad. I'm like, no, yeah, I did. I was homeless for years and made a lot of really poor decisions. and I'm lucky I'm still here, but like life is good, man. I really ain't got no complaints now.
So did you have any, like, looking back, like, did you have signs early on that something might have been wrong, or was the addiction too out of control that it didn't really?
Yeah, no, when I was using, there was no signs. I just always thought I was dope sick. When I got clean, after I've been clean for a little bit, I did notice little things like out of nowhere, I wouldn't have any energy, like none. Or like when I got a cut, it wouldn't heal as well as I thought it should. And like some of that might have had something to do with like Ptsd, which I got using, which I'm like cured for now. They gave me the Harboni or whatever. But like there's different little things like I noticed like when I was younger, I did all the skating and the snowboarding and stuff, and I could like, and just like with anybody, when you're younger, you fall down, you bounce right back up, and you get a little older, it's not the case. But like I noticed, it seemed to me like I didn't bounce back as quick as people my age, like my friends my age.
Yeah, because you're still a pretty young guy. I mean, with 4 years clean,
I'm 35.
Still in your 20s, right?
I'm 35.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's flattering.
Yeah.
For you to think I was in my 20s.
Well, I meant when you got clean.
I was in my mid late 20s. Like I was like 27, I think.
Yeah.
But I did notice like I kind of didn't think I'd bounce back as quick. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's hard to navigate or figure out when something's wrong, because some of the things you've described, like not bouncing back as quick or being tired at the end of the work week, I feel like I would be arguing with myself, like, is this something wrong, or is this just...
And I was, and a lot of people
me I got
do.
MS.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people do, and like that's why like a lot of people go undiagnosed for a long time until they have a really big flare up, like I did. You know what I mean? Like when I couldn't see, I mean when I had the flare up that took me to the hospital to get diagnosed, I literally couldn't see barely anything. I could see like figures, but they were way blurry. You know what I mean? And like you see me wearing glasses now, but that's because like I have astigmatism. I've always had bad vision, but I didn't know that until like, you know, having MS, going to the doctors. I'm checking every inch of my body and 100 MRIs and blood work and spinal taps and all that. So I now know that I need glasses, but I knew it definitely wasn't normal. You know what I mean? Like there was no arguing like, oh, this could just be, you know, from working hard.
So is that like, well, we talked with Dave about spiritual bypassing. I'm picturing this story of like, well, look how great it was, Drew, that you got MS. Now you know you needed glasses. You didn't even know that before.
Yeah, no.
What a lucky thing.
I think it was a bad hand dealt, but like I can't. So with MS, stress, you have immediate side effects, right? So like if I get stressed out, so I'm dealing with like a custody issue with my oldest son and dealing with his mother, I get stressed, and stress has an immediate physical side effect for me. Like everybody has an immediate side effect physically from stress, but with me, it's to the extreme. And by that, I mean like I stumble, I can't walk, I fall, I start slurring my words and not being able to function normally. You know what I mean? Well, my new norm. You know what I mean?
I picture your girlfriend being like, Drew, are you stressed? And you're like, no. And you just fall over. She's like, you liar.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
I see. I went the other whole way and be like using that as an excuse all the time. Like, oh, you got to stop bitching. You're making me stressed.
So like,
if you make me stressed, I can't do nothing. So you better stop.
Right. So like a lot of times, like people invite me to do something or ask me to do something. I'll be like, I can't. My MS, and they'll be like, well, that's an excuse. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like you don't have MS, man. You don't know.
Wow.
Like a lot of people are like, well, you don't look sick.
Ooh.
I'm like, well, you don't look stupid either, but here we are.
Did the doctor that gave you the extension cord analogy, was he over 60 or she?
No, I came up with that analogy.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Are you over 60?
So the doctor told me when I was diagnosed that I needed to treat my body like a 75-year-old man.
Well, maybe that's what it is.
And I told him that I didn't know how to do that.
I'm just picturing, like, when you were given that analogy, I was picturing the modern generation, and like everyone has that phone charging cable that's fucked up because it's been bent too much. And I'm like, everybody would understand that's under 40. But we went with the extension cord. All right. Well, so, go ahead.
No, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
He's saying upgrade your analogy, Drew.
I worked in the field, man. We always had you know what I mean? And in the trades, we had extension cords.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So I think the thing that really, I don't want to say it's mind blowing or it's hard to wrap my head around is people, you know, who come into recovery. I'm picturing me coming into recovery. I have these dreams, these, you know, new dreams arise and lost dreams awaken and all that great shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this in my life. I'm going to have family. I'm going to work. I'm going to blah, blah, fucking blah, whatever I'm going to do.
Right.
And then to get smacked in the face 4 years in, right when I think I know every fucking thing, right? With, oh yeah, bro, you ain't doing none of that.
Right. So
that's got to be traumatizing.
And just to kind of set that up, though, what did your recovery look like before your flare-up and your diagnosis? Like, what was your life in your recovery? What did that look like in that 4 years?
Okay, so I went to a long-term... I've been trying to get clean for 5 years. And I went to a long-term program. It was a year long. I was there for 13 months, 4 days, 9 hours, and 36 minutes. Not that I was counting. And went from there to managing a recovery house in a close area, but a different area. Was about to start a job doing electric, actually, in Baltimore City. And then my oldest son's mother got charged with robbing a bank. So I had to drop everything and move back. And then I went through some other stuff in life, like my dad died. And so like life started showing up right after I got like my first year clean, right? And life continued to show up till before the diagnosis. And growing up, my life was kind of always chaotic. I'm used to that. I think a lot of addicts, they're just used to the chaos. But like I knew, because I had been coming around for 5 years, like I knew I had to get connected. You know what I mean? I knew I had to get, all the stuff they say, the home group, the sponsor, all that. Like I dove in like with both feet, you know what I mean? And wanted something better, you know what I mean? So then after moving back and starting the custody battle and all that, I ended up going from job to job and landed on something that I loved. Like I'd started plumbing, and I was about to go for my journeyman's and everything when I was diagnosed, but like I loved my job, you know what I mean? Because I was always raised like,
that should have been an indication that something is wrong. Plumbing sucks.
plumbing sucks, but I was making a good living.
Yeah,
like I was making good money, and I could do side jobs in a couple of hours and make, you know what I mean, a nice pocket full of money. And like I was en route to like buy a house and shit. And like that's a big deal, you know what I mean? Especially coming from my family of using addicts. Most of them don't own houses or have anything going for themselves. Like I thought I had arrived, you know what I mean? I was like King Kong. You know what I mean?
Shit rolls downhill. Paydays on Friday. Don't bite your fingernails. Damn Skippy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I interrupted. So you're working hard,
good.
Found a career you loved.
Yeah. And then I got diagnosed with MS, and I took my vacation when I was in the hospital getting the steroids, and then stuff was good for like 6 months after.
So did they
roughly.
immediately diagnose it as MS, or
They looked in my eye and told me. Yeah,
they look in your eyes and tell you?
So they like shine the light or whatever. So what it is there's something that blocks what they call blue light. It's not like the color blue. I'm sure you've heard of it if you've got kids and they went to blue light
on
glasses
your phone,
or whatever.
there's a blue light filter.
Yeah. So there's something in your eye behind your retina that blocks the blue light from penetrating straight back to your brain. So that burns out when you have MS. When you get a big flare up, it goes away. Yeah.
So you got to watch out for blue light now because it'll damage your brain?
It doesn't damage it so much as it just strains it. So like a muscle, like when you lift a bunch of weights, it gets tired. And then, so like if blue light keeps coming or whatever through, it like stresses and strains my brain, and I just don't function as well. I got blue light canceling stuff on my glasses.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, isn't that in the computers and the games and all?
Yeah. I'm on this. I'm a big nerd.
You got blue blockers.
Yeah, I got the blockers, man.
You are like a 70-year-old man.
I mean, whatever. I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with myself enough to know and be completely fine with it. Like,
so you're King Kong in it. You got the world by the balls. You're about to buy a house. You're plumbing your heart's content, making all this loot. You got some kids. Your girlfriend here and there, whatever.
Custody.
You're going out and doing events. You're hiking, whatever the hell, and then you get hit with this.
Yep. And so like my boss is in recovery too. So like he had somebody in his family that had MS, so we understood it a little bit. He kept me working a lot longer than I should have. As soon as I started like getting balance issues, that's when you should have cut me. You know what I mean? But he let me work a lot longer, and he put me on less strenuous jobs. Like he kind of babied me, you know what I mean? But one day, the last day I worked, it was we were all on the same job, and we were trying to finish this job up. And I'm the young guy, I'm the smallest, and I'm the low man on the totem pole, so I always did the climbing. And I got up in the eave or whatever and was hanging a plumb bob to a 3-inch fitting, which is something I had done 1,000 times. This particular day, my vision and everything was off. and the 3-inch fitting was here, and I was hanging the plumb bob over here, but it looked to me like it was like close. So I was like trying, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, they're like, "Drew, you've done this a million times. Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "It's in there. Like, mark it. Like, give me the saw. Give me the, you know what I mean?" And they were like, "No, dude, get down." Like this is, and then when I got back to the shop, the boss was like, "Can you come into the office to like talk to you?" And I went in there and I was like, "Look, I know, man. I get it. Thank you." Like it wasn't, I knew it was coming. I seen it coming because like I had started to deteriorate, you know what I mean? And I had been to see a specialist at that point, and he told me that I was at some point it was going to get worse. And I thought, yeah, you say that, but like, I don't know.
You don't know me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm young. I'm invincible. I'm good. And I quickly found out that I was not.
So I feel like that's a place where, and when our vision of what our life is supposed to be gets robbed from us in this kind of way, like I'm a guy who struggles with depression. Like I start thinking immediately, I'm going into a depression. I'm thinking about not being here no more. Like I can only imagine.
Yeah, no, I went through that. I mean, you're talking to me 4 years after diagnosis, and I'm at a spot where I'm okay with it, and I've learned to cope with certain things. But like, I haven't always been like that. You know what I mean? It was hard because like, especially, and the physical part is, it's like what's the word, like demasculating, right? Like I was always raised like a man can do this, a man can do that. I can't even like, I've got to get somebody to help me put an AC in a window or like move the dryer so I can get something behind it. I can't do that. You know what I mean? Open a pickle jar. You know what I mean? A woman's always like, "Here, honey, can you open this?" And you're like, "Yeah, boom, done." No, I've got to go to my wife and ask her to help me open something, like a bottle of soda that hasn't been opened yet. Sometimes I can't, you know what I mean? Sometimes I got the hand strength to do it, and sometimes I don't. I definitely don't have the hand strength to like crank on wrenches anymore.
Please help me get this pickle.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes like I can't, sometimes they just don't work right, man.
Right.
Things just don't work right. Like I wear a brace for, I get drop foot, like, and most of the problems are on the left side of my body, but like, I can't run no more. I used to, for a little while, I was trying to be healthy and like I would run and stuff. That ain't going on no more. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I think that day is coming for every last one of us when we have to face this ego that we've been hiding behind and can no longer open the soda bottle or the pickle jar.
Right.
But I think the age that it's coming for you is a lot harder to accept.
Yeah. At 31, I was 31 when I was diagnosed. No, I might have been 30. I don't know. Whatever. I was 30, early 30s. So like when I'm talking to other people and they're like, "Oh, I did that," I'm like, "Yeah, I can't do that." They're like, "Man, you're 30. You're good." I'm like, no, I'm not. And like I'm fighting for disability still. Been denied a couple times. Got a lawyer and stuff, so like it's going well now. But they don't want to give disability to somebody who's 35 years old.
Right.
I mean, I'm working class. I'm working age male. I'm not.
It's a long time.
I don't get no easy road on that. You know what I mean?
Well, and even the other parts of your story you shared, right? So you come up against this realization, I am not going to be able to live my life the way I thought I was. This is not going to look like it was. But even after that, okay, there's these glimmers of hope. Well, all right, maybe I won't be a plumber, but I can work at this desk job and help people out, trying to get into recovery. Like, that's cool. Yeah. I'll associate with this nonprofit. And then almost getting that shut down. It's like,
no, it got shut down. It did. So I started getting lesions on my brain, and so I've got 13 lesions in my brain, and I'm not sure how many are actively leaking now. But at one point, like the frustration of not being able to do something and thinking that it should be able to be done a certain way, you know what I mean? And like asking my boss or telling my boss, who's a friend that you know what I mean, I respect and love dearly, you know what I mean? Like, no. You do it this way. And he's like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Listen, I'm not stupid. It's done this way." And then he clicks one button and shows me. I'm like, all right, my bad. Or like when I start forgetting stuff and forgetting to fill out certain forms or whatever. And he's like, "Look, man, I think maybe treatment coordination isn't, you know what I mean, what we can utilize you for, maybe move you to like harm reduction. Like I lose my shit, say some real inappropriate and mean things, you know what I mean? But due to it being an organization that's, you know what I mean, a lot of us are friends and in recovery themselves and understanding, they worked with me, but like I completely lost my shit. I was like, fuck you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then with the more legions and the longer it progressed, and then like the relapses. So like when the MS relapses, I acquired certain problems and they never go away. Even after like it comes out of relapse and like starts to get better, you still are stuck with a little bit of that problem. You know what I mean? So like the energy and the strength to do stuff, or the mental capacity to not be like overstimulated or overwhelmed on doing stuff just isn't there. I can't be held to a schedule. So like I can't work. Cause like some days I wake up, mornings are really rough in general, but some days I just wake up and I can't do nothing, you know what I mean? Except laying on the couch.
What are the expectations now? Like now that you're here, you've kind of come to some peace with like, these are things that my life will not look like. What's the anticipation for the rest of your life? Like, what does it look like? Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, I would hope that, like I die from natural causes, not MS related. Worst case scenario, that it'll kill me in my late 40s.
And what's your life look like until that day?
So it's all on, like life choices, you know what I mean? So the more stress I go under or I go put myself through, the worse it's going to affect me, right? So like I try to live a less stressful life, and I'm very fortunate. I left my ex, and I say my ex, and of course when you split up with somebody, you always have like, oh, screw her, blah blah blah, whatever. But like we just weren't right for each other, and like we've moved on. She's married. I'm about to get married. We co-parent well. You know what I mean? So that stress is gone. I'm with my fiance now, is very understanding and supportive. And I'm kind of like a trophy husband. I'm a kept man. I don't have to work. I like stay home with the kids, and she like pays all the bills, which is something I've never had before. Like a team player in a relationship, never had that. So like my life is a lot less stressful, even with 4 kids. We've got 3 full time and 1 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shit show. It's crazy in my house, but like I'm not really stressed like I was previously. And people have kind of people in my life, like different family members or different friends, have kind of come to accept the fact that like I can't do certain things, you know what I mean? And before, like when I was first diagnosed, like a lot of people, like my ex, my youngest son's mother, at first was like, oh, well, I want to take Mason to the beach, or I want to travel or do this or that. And like I couldn't do those things. And if I did, like it would just stress me out and overwhelm me, and like my body would get run down, and it just sucked. I'd be miserable the whole time, you know what I mean? And like people in my life don't expect me to do those kind of things today if I'm not up to it. I can do those things, but like not like I used to. Like when we go trick or treating, I use a wheelchair, which is a big hit to the manhood too. But like I got tired of not doing stuff, so I got a wheelchair. I even got a fancy one now that's like powered and really quick, fast.
Got turbo on it.
It did, yeah, dude. It's quick. It works like a 0 radius mower. It's pretty badass.
So with all this avoidance of stress, what's your meditation schedule look like?
I have 4 kids, Billy. It's a meditation schedule. Shoot. Like things I do to center myself and de-stress is like I do meetings, and a lot of people give me crap for it, but like I'm a nerd and I play video games, and like fantasy was my first drug anyway. When I was young, I got a Batman belt and a mask, and I was Batman. There was no convincing me otherwise. Fantasy was my escape as a kid. Comic books, video games, all that. So like I play video games, and like I stream on Twitch, and it's like a hobby that keeps me kind of, you know what I mean, busy besides the kids when the kids aren't everything while they're awake or whatever. Like I try to keep myself busy, and not with things that are like quote unquote hassle or responsibility. You know what I mean? So I kind of try to give myself time.
What's your how do you find you when you're streaming?
Phoenix Gaming 858 on Twitch TV.
So anybody that wants to make sure Drew's kids don't starve. No, I'm just kidding. Feel free to check him out.
I stream with my 8-year-old. We have a lot of arguments about old school games, or what he considers old school games. He's the entertainment there.
This episode has been brought to you in part by Voices of Hope, Inc., a nonprofit recovery organization made up of people in recovery, family members, and allies. Together, members strive to protect the dignity of those that use drugs and those in recovery by advocating for treatment, harm reduction and support resources, and mentoring. Please visit us at www.voicesofhopemaryland.org and consider donating to our cause.
So, what do you think the thing that's helped you most with stress is just the fact of going through this and having to accept the situation as it is? I feel like that could be such a huge acceptance to one's life.
So going into recovery, you know, they tell you accept your powerless, this, that, and the other. And I had an easy time with that. Like it was completely obvious.
Mm-hmm. In relation to the using.
Right, exactly. Completely obvious I was a shit show. But like being raised to, you know what I mean? Like I was raised with a good work ethic and like this is what a man does. Like that was hard. Like so now I'm to a point where I've reached the acceptance piece of it. But like that's real recent, dude. That's like 6 months. A year ago, the conversation would not be going like this. You know what I mean? But like I've come to understand that like that's just not going to happen. And anybody that can't accept it is just not relevant in my life, really. Like okay. I don't deal with them. If that's the way you feel, go ahead.
So I have around 37, I got diagnosed with dermatitis, which is why I said I feel petty and stupid in this conversation about my chronic illness.
If it's a problem, it's a problem.
I struggle with acceptance of it. You know, so what happens with mine, my face starts to get red, and then it starts, if I don't do anything long enough, it starts to get like itchy and painful. And then beyond that, if I just keep not doing nothing, it'll start being like scaly and flaking off and shit. Which, I mean, you know, there's some ego hits there. Like I like to be pretty, and
right.
It makes me a little less that. So I got some creams that I can put on, which are a pain in the ass because I put them on and I look like I'm wearing fucking white makeup or something all day long and blah, blah, blah. And they kind of burn and sting my face all day and give me a headache. But then I put them on and then the next day it's like, well, it's not itchy, but now it's like bright fucking red and I look like an idiot in these blotchy parts of my face. And then, but it all comes from the same place of like my body attacking itself, right? My body deciding that some of it is not being recognized as it, I guess, and it wanting to fix that. You know, there's some suggestions online about dietary changes I can make to help that, or lifestyle changes, and you know, I toy with some of them. But it's hard to be completely all in because, you know, I got a cream that I can use and that'll help me mostly, and it's not debilitating. It doesn't stop me from a lot of shit. It just doesn't look that good. Have you had to struggle with any kind of dietary changes? I feel like it's more immediate for your...
So they tell you to try keto, go keto light at first. You can't make any like drastic changes.
It's the sugars.
But to try keto, and like I have cut out a lot of soda. I still drink it. Like I don't do energy drinks anymore because another lovely side effect is becoming like caffeine sensitive. You know what I mean? And
no energy and don't have caffeine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I still do coffee. You can still drink a little bit of coffee, just not a lot. And I still do energy, but that's like a sugar-free drink or whatever. And it's got caffeine in it, but the sugar mixed with the caffeine is real bad. You can't eat like whole wheat bread is bad for me. It like makes me real sluggish, and like fast food like real extremely processed foods is bad, but like I still eat those things, but like a little less. Like I try to, because like I'm a stay-at-home husband or whatever. I'm a trophy husband. I do all the cooking, so like sometimes like I try to fit chicken and stuff into my diet and not have all that processed, easy freezer aisle food just throw in the oven. I try and I do eat better than I have, but like I still, it's like you said, it's hard to be all in. You know what I mean? I got 4 kids. Sometimes I need to just throw some nuggets in the oven and eat a couple while I'm getting them all squared away. You know what I mean?
I get it. In some of my attempts to do some of my dieting to help myself out, like it's pretty restrictive to really, really go all in on it. And I've tried it at times, but it makes it even twice as tough because my kids are like, we ain't eating that bullshit. So now it's like you got to make 2 dinners and 2 lunches, and then at the end of the night, I put my kid to bed and I'm walking past the fucking cupboard that's got all the goddamn snack cakes that they want to eat, and I'm like, oh, that looks so good.
Late at night's the worst.
I want an oatmeal cream pie.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. So go ahead.
Did after your diagnosis, like how did that affect your recovery? Your engagement in recovery, or what your recovery looked like?
So right around the time it started getting real bad, the COVID happened. Stuff started shutting down anyway. But before that, before COVID hit, like I was to the point where I couldn't walk and stuff. So like I tried. So there's always been Zoom meetings. People don't realize that before COVID, there was Zoom meetings, but like I couldn't find any good ones. They were all like in other languages or not, you know what I mean? Very
far away places where they didn't have regular meetings. So you had 2 people online trying to make a meeting.
Not super helpful.
Well, and this is a critical judgy statement, but they were also those kind of people that went to online meetings, which was that, before COVID, that was a certain type of person.
Right. So, no, you're right. And then a lot of my and I couldn't work and I couldn't go anywhere. And some of my friends that are, still busting their ass working every day, they're like, man, you're lucky. You got it made. You collect unemployment. You get to sit home all day. I'm like, yeah, fuck you guys. This is not cool. And then quarantine happened. COVID. They're like, man, this sucks. I'm like, I fucking told you, man. I've been here for 6 months already. This is not. But then the Zoom meetings started getting, you know what I mean? I started seeing people that I knew, and like that was awesome. And during that time, like is when I was going through the process of like learning how to like walk better, you know what I mean? And when I say learning how to walk, it's not that I couldn't walk, it's just that I looked like a crazy person when I did it. You know what I mean? And like my muscles weren't doing what they were supposed to, you know what I mean? I went through some I think it's called incontinence. Right, shit yourself?
Yeah. You can just say shit yourself on here.
Right, yeah, okay.
We're cool.
But so I went through all that. I was coming out the other end of the tunnel on that stuff, you know what I mean, and getting better with getting changed from medication to medication or whatever, and making some lifestyle changes. I think everybody went through the change in your recovery from having to do the Zoom meetings, but even more so with me, like even after meetings started to open up and stuff, like I can't really go to many, you know what I mean? And I kind of got this whole autoimmune thing going on. I ain't got an immune system. After I take my medicine, they're autoimmune suppressants. So like after I get the infusion, I can't, you know what I mean? For 3 months after the medicine I'm on now, for 3 months after I get it, I have no immune system. You know what I mean? And I get it every 6 months. So like there's 6 months out of the year that I have a close to normal, quote unquote, close to normal immune system. So like I had to stop going to like so many meetings, like, cause early in I went to a lot of meetings. I went as much as I could. You know what I mean? My first year, I went to like 2 or 3 a day cause I was in Baltimore City and they were so accessible. You know what I mean? And even after I moved to like Glen Burnie or back here to Cecil County, like I went pretty frequently, and like I had to not go as much, but I had these relationships established with like my sponsor and different friends. So like I still interacted with those people, and they came over, or we would go out to do certain things like eat or hang out or whatever, but it definitely slowed down. My recovery, certain aspects of it slowed down, man, like big time.
Have you attempted to like because your particular brand of recovery is the 12-step version, have you attempted to work the 12 steps about this specific?
Look, man, I'm still working through my 12 steps just for addiction. So after I go through that, I'm on step 10 now. So like after maybe, but like as far as writing on like writing on a step specifically for MS, I haven't, but like I do apply it to that. You know what I mean? Like powerlessness, like I'm powerless. You know what I mean? I've got it now. Like I've got to deal with it. You know what I mean? And, working the acceptance piece and like a 6-step, the character defects. So like all my character defects are pretty much the same, but they're like amplified or exacerbated. You know what I mean? Like I've always been a smart ass and an asshole, but like, and I've always had anger issues, but like the MS, when I get overstimulated or whatever, like, okay, so there's a 4-year-old and 2 3-year-olds now. They were all 3 at one point, whatever. We've got 3 toddlers and they, you know what I mean? Dad, I want a waffle. But if you repeatedly say the same thing to me, that gets annoying to everybody, right? But I will lose my shit. You know what I mean? I will lose it. Like it overstimulates me. It hurts my brain. Like I don't know how else to explain it besides like it just jacks me up, man.
Well, it took me 45 minutes, Billy, but I too now have MS.
You see, I knew I had it. He just gave me another checklist.
Right. But
kids annoying check.
Right. So, but like normally it's like on this level, but like with the MS, it like just fries you, dude. Like it can't hack it sometimes.
So if we were going to talk about, which is, kind of where we hope to get to, anybody else that's going to come into recovery, get the experience of, having these lost dreams raise up and new dreams awaken, only to find through, maybe it's chronic illness as well, which is the topic of sort of this episode, but maybe it's some other reason, but all that gets shattered and crushed away. What are some helpful ways or things that maybe if you knew them beforehand would have helped you in the process?
That's a hard one because like at first I went into the kicking and screaming. Like I was not okay with it. You know what I mean? I pushed myself too much and made things worse, harder on myself. With MS specifically, I would just say like try to cut stressors out of your life. You know what I mean? Find out why those things are stressing you. And that's with a lot of autoimmune diseases. All autoimmune diseases, stress makes things worse, right? And really with everything in life, stress makes things worse. So like really I had to look at what were like key stressors in my life and the things that I would stress about that were like inevitable or I couldn't take them out of my life. I had to look at why that stresses me and work on that. You know what I mean? And it's easier said than done, but like that's what I had to do and that's what I did. So like not being able to work and provide and like have my own money to do things, that sucks for anybody not to be able to take care of yourself. Cause like in life and a 12-step fellowship, like they tell you like be fully self-sufficient, you know what I mean? Take care of yourself and to better yourself, you have to, take care of yourself and do certain things. So like I kind of had to reevaluate that as, you know what I mean? Like I just can't do certain things and I had to come to acceptance. And as far as tips to come to that, I wouldn't know what key thing to tell somebody, you know what I mean?
Well, I think what you gave us there was definitely this idea of like self-reflection, right? I feel like this has almost pushed you into a place of really having to sit here and reflect on, man, what stresses me out? Why do these things stress me out, right? Which ones, how can I set my life up in a way that's meaningful and makes sense to me and stop living up to these expectations that I was either given from my family of origin or whether I was given them from society? Like, fuck all them stupid ass expectations. What is life for me? Right. I feel like that's a deep thing all in itself.
Yeah. So like societal norms or whatever, like, oh, by 35, you should have like 3.5 kids in a house and this, that, and the other. And so not only with, being an addict and then coming into recovery, like I already got a late start on life. And when it feels like right when I really got the gears turning and I was about to start accomplishing all these things, the rug was pulled out from underneath me. So like I had to reach another level of acceptance. Like, I had worked on acceptance with coming into recovery. Like, look, I didn't adult very well for the first 27 years of my life or whatever. Like, I'm going to start to try to do good now. And then when I finally start to, like, stuff starts to click, like, it's like, nope, reset button. You gotta figure it out. And then, like, I went to, like, being a peer, and I got my certification and everything, and, like, things were going good there, and I was making good money doing that too. And I was good at it. You know what I mean? I had some, like, life experience and job experience, quote unquote job experience, before I, like, started working in that field. But then again, the MS took that away from me. Like, it's been levels. Like, I had to reach acceptance to here, to this level, and then to this level. Like, I just had to keep, like, adapting, you know what I mean? And I'm sure at some point in the future, hopefully not near future, but I'm going to have to keep adapting. And I tell people all the time, like, if I didn't have 4 years clean when I was diagnosed, I would not be here. Like, if I didn't learn those tools being clean for that long, I wouldn't be able to deal with having MS.
You know, I mean, you talk about having to cut out sugar and lower energy and not noticing some of the symptoms while you were using. I think the answer right now is cocaine, obviously. A lot of energy, no sugar added, like
methamphetamine, you know.
I mean, that could work too.
Yeah.
You know, when Dave was on here talking about meditation, he's really into this Zen process. He's a Zen priest. He goes specifically to his practice and his mentors for the rug to be pulled out from under him, which is like an interesting idea, right? He kind of
that
like
doesn't sound interesting. I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, the Zen process is about like having the illusions shattered and, you know, all this deepness and everything. And I'm just wondering, like, what his thoughts would be on literal. I mean, I guess not literal. I mean, if I actually took a rug out from under you, but like, you know, a more physical piece of having the rug pulled out from under you in your life. Like, his is more like, you know, people showing him psychologically where his ego does, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just wondering what his take on this would be. Like, I could see him seeing some of the benefits of it just because you get to a level of like acceptance or understanding of life that other people don't ever have to really dig to.
Yeah. Okay. I
You're
see
like,
what you're
"That's fucking
saying,
stupid."
but like, no. Like, if I could not do it, I'd just rather not do it.
Right.
Rather not have MS, but I mean, it was the hand I was dealt.
I wasn't trying to paint it pretty.
I know. But no. Yeah, and I guess there is benefits to the acceptance, but
Yeah, and you mentioned your sponsor or sponsorship family being a big part of your support early on.
yeah.
Was that piece already there as a result of work you did, or when you were diagnosed, did you reach out and build that relationship?
That was already there, and that's why I say, like, if I didn't have an established recovery with my first 4 years, you know what I mean, I wouldn't have made it to today.
Well, because I previously, one of the pieces of advice I got that I always kind of stick with now is that, like, I need to keep myself sort of grounded in my recovery because I don't know when the storm is going to come. You know,
Right.
as anybody in recovery, we've been through our trials and shit's come up in life that kind of smacks you blindsided, and all of a sudden, you know, your life gets sort of flipped upside down, and it's like, well, what do you do with that? And it's, you know, the recovery process being fundamental in my life has helped me from making it worse.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I had all those relationships well established when I was diagnosed, you know, and just from taking suggestions, you know what I mean, keeping close and always letting people in your network know what's going on.
Yeah, which I also think gives a more realistic version of what happens in the program. I mean, I've sponsored a lot of people over the years, and my likelihood to reach out to a guy that's kept in touch with me on a regular basis and that I'm friends with, and that, you know, I'm, as a fucking human being, I got to be honest, I'm probably willing to do a little more for that sponsee that's kept in touch with me, that's been my friend, that showed up to maintain that relationship, than a guy that never fucking calls me and then all of a sudden out of the blue gives me a phone call and says, oh, by the way, I'm getting kicked out of my house and can you help me with rent? Like, I don't know that I'm as likely to, I mean, and I hate to say that, but I'm just, as a human being, that's the truth.
That's the truth.
I'm going to be way more willing to help a guy that I sort of am in communication with and build a relationship with than a guy that we just have a relationship based on, you asked me to help you one time 2 years ago.
Right.
Well, you're more invested.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're more tied in. I think one of the things, Drew, that you also said in this idea of like how to cope or what to do when this kind of life-changing situation happens, there was a lot of personal reflection mentioned, but also this idea of like giving yourself permission for things and yourself to be different than what you expected. And I find like that's a challenge I've run into in my life, right? I set up an expectation about a situation, sometimes subconsciously, and I have struggled to give permission to life to be what the fuck it is, which is not looking like what I want it to be. And then I struggle giving myself permission to be wherever it is I'm at, right? Like, oh, well, I thought I was, or I want to be this other thing, this model citizen or whatever the fuck. And like, guess what? I'm not that right now. I'm this, whatever I may be in that moment. I always go to like being a pervert or liking titties or something. I don't know why, but that's like, I guess one of my things. I don't know. But I'm like, that's who I am right now. Let me not try to be this pillar of the community. Let me give myself permission to feel how I feel.
Yes, I have to take it easy on myself and not have so many expectations. You know what I mean? As far as like with the whole community piece that you were talking about, like I still volunteer with that nonprofit that I worked for, and they still let me volunteer, I guess, whatever. But like they understand that like, okay, maybe somewhere where Drew needs to be politically correct is not the setting for him. Let's put him with the people that are closer to the dirt, that are like, you know what I mean? That are trying to get up out of it so they don't give a shit if he says something that's like inappropriate or
I don't think the
like
people closer to the dirt is the politically correct.
Right, exactly.
Definitely
I'm
a little
helping prove my case here.
I was even picturing, and maybe this is a piece where like the part of you that was an asshole already actually came in handy, but like that piece where people are telling you, when you were telling them early on, like, oh, I can't do those kind of things, or I can't come to that, or I can't participate in this. And they were like, oh, what the fuck? You look healthy. You look fine. Come on, you're 31, whatever. Maybe, that would have been a challenging piece to give myself permission to like not try to live up to what other people were expecting of me. But I almost feel like that's a piece where being an asshole ahead of time kind of prepared you to be like, fuck my balls, man, whatever.
Yeah, like a lesser person would try harder and make themselves sicker.
Yeah, no, I did try at first to do things, but people that were my real friends that say we went trick-or-treating with our kids or something and they see me walking all crazy. You actually see me when I tried to do trick-or-treating when I first got back to where I could walk. But then after walking a lot up and down Main Street, you know what I mean? You see me struggling and walking with my family and my then girlfriend. And like, she was asking me, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Like my legs are flailing about and I can barely think straight. Mm-hmm. But like after doing that a couple times, it got to the point where I was like, no, fuck you. I'm not doing it, man. Mm-hmm. I'm just not doing it. You can go do whatever you want, but I'm good right here on the couch or, wherever.
So challenging, man. So challenging. So what is your, do you have like a new, God, I feel like I'm buying into society's bullshit now with like aspirations and success. Like what are you looking forward to? How have you changed? Because I feel like we all need some kind of either hope or dream or
ambition.
Yeah, I hate to use ambition. But like, what do you got your mindset on? Like, what is your next journey?
So I'm a stay-at-home dad right now.
That's beautiful.
I'm okay with it. I feel like such a boomer saying like, I just hope my kids have respect and hold the doors for the ladies, but like, that's it. I just want to raise kids that are not little assholes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like have respect for their elders and community and just aren't pieces of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm focused on that right now.
I think that's beautiful. I'm almost, you're like fighting yourself to make them not assholes, though.
I know. It's really hard not to laugh at your kid when they do something, and it's like, yeah, he gets that from me.
There I am. Oh, that's great. Any final thoughts or anything that you were thinking about this episode that we ended up not getting to, or anything else you think is pertinent information for somebody who's maybe just entering this realization in their life?
As far as like with the chronic illness or whatever, like find you a good specialist, man, and don't be afraid to take the medicine. I'm not talking like take the pain pills they try to push on you or none of that, but I'm saying like at first, you know what I mean, there were some issues with sex drive, and you know what I mean, certain things not working. The doctor offered me Viagra and I was like, I don't need that. I'm 30 years old, I'm good. Take the medicine, man. Like they offer it for a reason. You know what I mean? And
I gotta be honest, when you were talking about walking kind of wonky and your nerves not acting right, I was like, I wonder if that made him bad at sex. I don't know why I thought that, but
because we're men, and like, so we're mammals, and like adults have sex with their significant other, right? And that's a thing, and like that's a quality of life thing. So like if you're ever in like a bad car accident and you can't perform sexually, they give you more money in the settlement, because it's it's a staple on a quality of life. Like the man or the professionals or the feds or whatever rate like staples, like, can you eat normally? Can you walk normally? Can you play with your kids? Can you work? Can you have sex? You know what I mean? With no issues.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like that was a big issue. And like I'm just now to the point where like I can have sex and not feel like I'm dying. You know what I mean?
This goes back to the whole girl on top thing for me. I'm like, so perfect, man. Check another box.
And that's where I went.
I mean, like, look,
here. This is too stressful. I'm just going to lay here, and you need to do all the work because I'm stressed.
I mean, maybe it made you better. Maybe you're a little like wiggly now where you weren't before or something. I don't know.
Making moves you didn't even know.
Right.
Right.
All right, Drew. I thank you so much for coming on, man.
Of course, my pleasure.
I mean, your story is inspiring to me. I know I can see where if I was in that position, I wouldn't feel like that's an inspiration. But to me, it's like the ability to accept and find acceptance with some of the hardest circumstances I can imagine, right? Like, that's just fucking inspiring that I can continue on my journey of accepting life and, you know, getting rid of this illusion of ego and be a better guy. I love it. All right.
Okay.
Have a good week out there, guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Did you like this episode? Share it with people you think might get something out of it. Check out the rest of our episodes at recoverysortof.com. Also, while you're there, you can find ways to link up with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, anything. We're always looking for new ideas. Got an idea you want us to look into? Reach out to us.